Welcome to Mediocre Gaming, and today we're playing Tom Clancy's The Division. So the last global event is online, Ambush. What are the modifiers for Ambush? The global modifier is that while you're stationary, you build up a damage buff. There's a bar right above your health bar. As it fills up, your damage goes up until it's maxed out when the line gets all the way to the top. Now, your covert and strategic ambush, as you move, you lose your damage buff. When it's empty, you start losing health. Strategic ambush also adds proximity to other allies, which will also debuff your damage and cause you to start losing damage. So, what's a good strategy? You should absolutely use a support station unless you're going for one of the accommodations. There are two accommodations where you have to play the playlist while using only the tech wing skills. So in that case, you wouldn't be able to. You just have to make sure to tell your friend or the other people playing and say, hey, stay away from me. I'm trying to do this, or would you guys like to do it? Because I believe all the agents have to be using tech wing skills if you're going to go for that accommodation. Now, when you're doing a mission, normal missions will give you the smallest amount at 150 global event credits. Hard will give you more at 225. Challenge will give you 750. Incursions will give you 650 for normal, and heroic will give you 900. If you add covert or strategic as modifiers, you'll add an extra 125 onto challenge, 50 for normal, 75 for hard. So it certainly makes sense to use at least covert and a challenge mission. Now, which missions should you be doing? Now, the playlist allows you to play the incursion Dragon's Nest, the challenge mission Queen's Tunnel, which is what I'm playing, and the legendary mission Times Square Power Relay. So the fastest way would be to do Queen's Tunnel on covert or strategic ambush. Strategic ambush is ultimately more punishing than covert because when you're close to another ally, you lose health and your damage buff, but you have more possibilities for accommodations. So if you're only worried about credits, then just do the covert. If you're trying to get some of the accommodations that go with the event and the masks, then you'll definitely want to use the highest difficulty level with the strategic ambush. Now, if you have a pre-made group, Clear Sky is still the fastest way to get credits in the global event. Clear Sky only takes about 5 or 6 minutes, depending on the group, to get it finished. You will need someone with final measure, and you'll need everyone to use a support station and either recovery link or the shield for your third ability. Now, if you are willing, the legendary will give you a higher number of credits, but there's not as many checkpoints. So if your group wipes, it will take longer ultimately to get credits. So it's a better payout, but it's a little bit more risky. The incursions are the same. The challenge is probably still the easiest way to get credits. The lowest risk, I should say. So there's a lot of checkpoints, and even if you don't have 3 buddies that you're playing with, you should still be able to do it. Now, certain setups and skills will be more useful than others if you're using defense or nomad or striker or reclaimer. Those are going to work out better than some of the other ones. if you have a 6-piece classified set. If you do not have a 6-piece classified set, you can still use a HighEnd or a 4-piece and it'll still work, just not as well as the 6-piece. Now, if you're using a HighEnd, I would recommend using a nimble holster, a vigorous chest piece. If you're using a skill build, using relentless as your perk on your backpack, because then if you are using all tech wing skills, the damage that those do, and I would certainly want you to have a turret on there, you can get some of your health back as your abilities do damage. Now you can have a relentless backpack and you can have a skill build and you can still have a support station with a turret, because the turret will do damage and will heal you, and your support station will heal you. And if you're using a vigorous chest piece, then you will get an overheal once your health fills up, and that'll help you in your movement sections during a mission. Also, instead of a vigorous chest piece, you can also use a, I want to say forceful, but that may not be correct. But the perk is on the chest piece, you get 15% more armor after you've been in cover for 4 seconds. So if you have those pieces, certainly use them. If you don't, you shouldn't worry too much. You should still be able to complete the challenge mission without any problem. The incursion might be a little bit more difficult. Now, Dragon's Nest can be completed relatively quickly, not as quickly as Clear Sky. So if you're going for the maximum number of credits per round, Dragon's Nest will give you more credits, but Clear Sky can be done more quickly. If you're going to do Dragon's Nest, you're going to want one player that is a dedicated healer, someone that has a support station and first aid or smart cover. First aid is a little bit more useful than smart cover, but both of them would work. If you have someone with a 6-piece reclaimer set, that is absolutely awesome for Dragon's Nest, because that is extremely useful both with the range of the support station and keeping your abilities and having the immunizer and recovery both. So it's a great one to have no matter what you're doing. But I realize that not everyone has a 6-piece reclaimer, and even if you do, maybe you don't want to play as a support role. But it'll be a lot easier if you have at least one person with a reclaimer. You don't have to have more than one, but one will make your life a lot easier on that mission. Now, Clear Sky, you should have one person that has Final Measure. That'll make your life a lot easier if you're doing Clear Sky. Maybe you've never done the incursions and you're a little bit timid about it. Go ahead and jump in. More than likely, there's going to be 1, 2, or 3 people that have done it and have a pattern in order to get it done. Now, the incursions do require cooperation. The last part with the fire truck on Dragon's Nest, 2 people have to push the buttons at relatively the same time in order to progress to the next part of the last stage. And you have to do that multiple times, getting closer to the fire truck each time. Clear Sky, you have to plant 2 bombs and you have to protect those bombs. You can do it very, very quickly, or it can take a really long time. The last part, someone has to take the box from the start point over towards the helicopter, and it's usually easier to switch off so someone can drop it, next person picks it up, keep going. You're going to have enemies around you the whole time, so you need some DPS. and you have to keep moving. On a final note, I did notice on some of the missions, they still showed you in combat even though you cleared out an area. Queen's Tunnel is notorious for that. And the bar, so in between areas where you clear them out, the bar is supposed to disappear. That way you don't have to stop and start in between the areas now. Because sometimes it still shows you in combat, that bar will still be up in between areas. So you'll end up losing health. Now, if you have one member that jumps to the next area and starts fighting without everyone else, that bar will go down for everyone else too. So it'll make it all the more difficult for you to catch up or other members. So make sure that your group stays relatively close together and clear out all the enemies that you can see, even if it takes a little bit more time. Anyway, I hope this video is helpful and informative. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing, and we'll see you next time.